Michael Jackson's legacy under scrutiny following the release of a new documentary called Leaving Neverland. It paints a picture of the late King of Pop as a child molester.
He told me if they ever found out what we were doing, he and I would go to jail for the rest of our lives.
Two men, Wade Robson and James Safechuck, claim that Michael Jackson sexually abused them when they were just 7 and 10 years old. Jackson's estate has sued HBO, and his family says the director made no attempt to contact them about these allegations. Part 2 of that documentary airs tonight. Let's go to Adam B. Very, senior film reporter with Buzzfeed. He joins us now from Los Angeles to talk some more about this. Thanks for your time tonight.
Thank you for having me.
I know you've seen at least the first part of the documentary. What did you make of it?
I've seen both parts. I saw it at the premiere at the Sundance Film Festival in January. I found the film to be thorough and pretty devastatingly credible. I think that the director, Dan Reed, worked really hard to give us as complete a picture as possible as to exactly what the full experience of both Mr. Robson and Mr. Safechuck was, as well as their families.
Tell me what you found that made you believe this was a credible work, or to believe the stories these men are recounting.
I think it's part of it is that the nature of the details that they go into, quite extensive details, emotional details, and very explicit details of the sex that they allege that they were having with Michael Jackson, as well as a sort of emotional, the way that it makes sense emotionally for both of them to have gone through this. It's really hard to come away from seeing it and not feel like they had this experience.
And you've met and interviewed, I believe, both of these men.
Yes, I have.
And what was your read on them face to face?
I think that they are both I think it's a sort of mixed experience for them. I think it's very difficult to be talking about this kind of experience in public, so publicly, and to be experiencing the kind of criticism that they've been getting from the Jackson family and his fans. But at the same time, I know that they actually thought that was all they were going to get, that they were only going to be hated and not believed. And so to get the kind of response at Sundance and at other venues and online of people who do believe them and do support them has been, I think, enormously gratifying for them.
So, Adam, these two men at one time supported and defended Michael Jackson when there were other allegations, yes?
Yes, they did.
And what do they say about that time, why they chose to defend Michael Jackson and now sort of turn around to make some allegations against him?
I think that's kind of what the documentary is really about, is how what that sort of journey was like for them. I think the sort of underlying issue here is that until they both became fathers after Michael Jackson had died, they really didn't see what they say they experienced with him as abuse. When they were children, they experienced it as Michael Jackson, they say, presented it to them as a way to show love for each other. So when Michael Jackson was attacked and they saw him being attacked and they felt like that they could actually protect him, this man that they truly desperately loved, that was the decision that they thought was the right one to make. And it was only as adults, much, much later in life, that they began to see the damage of what they say Jackson did to them psychologically. And
what do you make of the Jackson family's response, which is that nobody reached out to us to talk about this?
I asked the director, Dan Reed, about that, and his response is essentially that the only people that actually know what happened to Mr. Robson and Mr. Safechuck are Wade and James and Michael Jackson. It all occurred behind closed doors, and Wade and James say that there was no one else in the room present with them. And their relationships with Jackson, what they say, were separate. So from Dan Reed's perspective, there's only so much that a person who wasn't experiencing that would be able to share about that. And he also makes clear that in the documentary itself, Michael Jackson's denials, as well as his lawyer's denials, are very much present in the film.
Denials about other allegations, not these specific ones.
Not these specific ones.
Got it. All right, Adam B. Very, appreciate your time. Thanks for joining us tonight.